We've been raising heritage blue slate turkeys for just over a year now, which means this spring is the first time we've had turkey eggs on the homestead.
We are just so excited to start having baby turkeys here on the homestead. But before we can get baby turkeys, we need to have them hatch from those eggs. Now, turkeys only lay eggs one time per year, unlike chickens who pretty much lay all year round, an egg a day for almost the entire year.
Yeah, turkeys only lay eggs, they'll lay one egg a day for about 15 to 20 days out of the year in the spring. So you only end up with that many eggs for the entire year. And normally what a turkey will do is she'll lay all of her eggs one after another, one day at a time, and then at the very end she will sit on all of those eggs and hatch them.
But there's a chance that the turkey won't sit on her eggs, and there's a chance that if she has 20 eggs, some of them are going to be too old to incubate or too old to hatch. So even out of maybe 20 eggs, you could only get a few turkeys. So we wanted to maximize the opportunity to have as many turkey babies as we can on the homestead. So we decided to collect a lot of those eggs from her, incubate them in the house, and still let her try to sit on some. But kind of as a safety net, we wanted to incubate some ourselves in the house.
So we've taken about 18 of her eggs, we collected them, we'd let her lay eggs for about 5 days, then we'd collect them, then we'd let her lay for another 5 days, we'd collect them, and we collected about 18 eggs total. She has a couple still in her nest that she's sitting on, along with some duck eggs that we snuck in there, but we're not sure if she's actually sitting on them enough that they'll hatch or not. But the ones that we took in the house, starting a few weeks ago, we put in the incubator, and they've just recently started to hatch. So in a minute we're going to go in the house and show you the ones that have already hatched. Now, because of the way we collected her eggs, where we would wait a few days and collect some, and then wait a few more days and collect some more, what we would do is when we would take them from her nest, we'd bring them in the house and we'd put them in the incubator. So the eggs will actually hatch. The first eggs will hatch, and then 5 days later the next batch of eggs will hatch, and then 5 days later the next batch of eggs will hatch. So we're actually going to have 3 or 4 hatchings of eggs over the next few weeks. The first ones have already hatched, and the second ones have already hatched, but we need to today move some around, make some room, because we got more that we need to get ready to hatch, and we've got some that are actually ready to come outside to the barn. All right, we're in the house. Let me show you the turkeys that hatched. Now, these are about 6 or 7 days old. These are the ones that are going to move outside. Now, they've actually grown quite a bit already in that week, so they are going to be good to go outside. Really, we could probably move chicks directly from the incubator outside in this kind of weather, because it's getting warm enough now. I just like to have them in the house for the first couple days. These next ones will probably move outside when they're about 3 days old, but I like to have them in the house just so we can keep a closer eye on them for those first few days, just to make sure everything is going okay. Alright, we're going to move these into a temporary container before we can move them outside. We're going to quick clean this one out so we can go in the incubator and get the ones that just hatched. There's number 1. Alright, we're going to just move these guys off to the side while we quickly clean out this one so we can put the new babies in there. Then we'll head back outside. Alright, the brooder is all cleaned out, ready for the new chicks to move in. Now, we have both of our incubators set up here. There's a reason that we need 2 incubators when we're hatching these, and that's because in this incubator is the incubator that we actually have our egg turner in. For those of you who don't know a lot about incubating eggs, the way that you need to do this is for the first 25 days on turkey eggs, because they take 28 days, the first 25 days they need to be in an egg turner. Now, an egg turner is a device that you set the eggs down in, and it real slowly turns back and forth like this all day long. And you need to do that to make sure that the eggs develop correctly. But after 25 days, you need to stop them from turning so that the chick can orient itself inside of the egg and get ready for hatching. But because we're doing these at different times, there's still some in here that still need to be turning while these need to be sitting still. So we needed to use both incubators in order to accomplish that. So these are still in here. These will actually be taken out and moved into this incubator today. And these chicks that are in here, which hatched yesterday, are ready to go down into the brooder. So there's 3 chicks in here. We're going to take them out and we're going to move them over. There's the first one, and you can see how much smaller those are than the ones that we just took out. But they're all dried off, and that's what you want, is you want to leave them in the incubator until they're dried off. And now they're ready to come over into the brooder. Once we get them all in there, we'll show them where the food and water is. Now that they're all in here, we'll show them where their water is. We do that by taking one, picking it up. That one looks like it's about to find it on its own. And you just dip their beak in. And once they know where that water is, they'll learn to go back pretty quickly on their own. Now we like to put the water inside of a little saucer like this so that it helps keep the bedding cleaner and they don't get water all over in their bedding and make a much bigger mess. They're able to jump in and out of here even at a day old, no problem. Actually looks like they're already finding their food as well. Alright, let's cover these guys up and get a heat lamp on them, and then we'll move the other ones outside. Now this cover is just something that I built. I just cut the inside of the original cover off of this storage bin and covered it with chicken wire and then zip tied it to it. And I've actually been using this for probably 10 years and it's still holding up okay, so we'll keep using it. For a heat lamp, we're using a 150 watt regular incandescent bulb. This time of year, when it's pretty warm in the house, that's plenty warm for the chicks. If it were the middle of winter and it were getting colder in the house, we might need something a little stronger, but right now, this is really good. And we normally don't put a thermometer in. You want it to be around 100 degrees under the light, but we prefer to just keep an eye on them. If they're all huddled under the light all the time, you know it's probably a little too cool in there. If they're all spread out to the edges, it might be a little too warm. But for the most part, you can just kind of tell by their behavior whether or not they're doing okay. Alright, let's get these other guys outside. Alright. Now, this is where we have raised a lot of chicks. We basically just use pine bedding on the floor, a simple feeder and water, and then just one heat lamp. Now, if we're raising them in colder weather, sometimes we'll have 2 heat lamps, but this time of year, 1 heat lamp is plenty, and we just use, in these, we use a 250 watt heat lamp. Alright, I'm going to take these guys out. I'm going to put them up here by their water. They're old enough now that I don't need to dip their beaks. They know what water is, but I at least want them to know where it is in this new barn. There we go, guys. Alright, here you go. There we go. Alright, they're all moved in. Give them some time to start exploring their new home. Well, that is awesome. It is so good to see these babies being born. This is a good sustainable source of meat for the homestead. Now so far we've had 8 of the turkeys hatch. And we've got 5 eggs left in the incubator. So hopefully we'll get at least another 3 or 4. And that would be a great amount of turkeys to raise for this year. We'll probably keep 1 or 2 of the hens for even more eggs next year. But the rest will be going in the freezer to provide meat for our family. Now while you guys are here, we want to show you a couple more things around the homestead. One really interesting thing with our rabbits.
Well, this spring we started breeding our silver fox rabbit does. Now silver fox rabbits are a heritage breed of rabbits that are good for meat and for fur. We have 3 does and 2 bucks on the homestead right now. We've had 2 litters of babies so far. About 5 weeks ago, I showed you our very first litter of rabbits. They were actually ready to be weaned, but since then we've had another litter that has been born, and the coloring on them is so interesting. Now, silver fox rabbits come in black, blue, which is gray, chocolate, and lilac. The chocolate is a brown and the lilac is like a lighter form of gray. This litter is pretty special. It has some pretty interesting colors on the kits. I want to show them to you. Now the mom, the doe, is blue or gray, and she mated with a black silver fox buck. Let me bring out the nesting box. Now we don't normally breed and let the moms have their babies in these rabbit tractors. And in the near future, we're gonna stop doing this because it is pretty risky for the babies because of weather and because of snakes. So this is actually the last litter that we're allowing to be born in these rabbit tractors. But I wanna show you the colors of these guys. Now the normal gray or blue is this color. I'll show you it first. So this is the color blue, and I call it gray, but it's considered blue. So let me show you another color that we have. Now, I don't know, I think this one might be considered chocolate, but it's really light colored. I'm not sure if this is chocolate or lilac, but it's kind of a light tan. Look at how pretty that baby is. So we have 2 blue babies, one that's this tan, and then I want to show you this one that has just interesting colors. Earlier it was a little wet, which is one of the downsides of having these kits in the rabbit tractors. This one got a little bit wet, but this one is like multicolored. It's so interesting. It's like brown on the top and gray on the sides. And I think that that is called tort. And I think it's not very common, I'm not sure. So we're really excited to have these baby bunnies because we're going to be expanding our rabbit herd. I think that I'm going to try to keep both this one and the light colored brown one so that we can expand the different colors of silver fox rabbits that we can offer. So over the next few weeks, you'll see a lot more about our rabbits as we scale up again in our rabbitry and do a lot more with these guys. They're so cute. Well, let's go check out the pigs. Remember, just a week ago or so, we expanded the area where the baby pigs are living, gave them a lot more room. Let's go check out and see how they are doing.
Well, the baby pigs are settling into their new area well. It's been about a week now that they've been back here. But just a few days ago, we had quite a scare with this pig right here, Pickles. That's the one our daughter Samantha named. And we came out, it was probably 2 days after we had set up this new electric fence area for them. And I came out that morning and fed them like normal, and the other two came running up to get their food, and Pickles was nowhere to be found. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, somehow he escaped. But then I noticed he was kind of laying over in the field and wouldn't get up. For about 2 days, he was very sick. He really wouldn't lift his head at all. We were really worried. We actually thought we were going to lose him. So we were finally able to get Pickles up enough that he would walk back to their shelter. We put some nice dry straw in there because we'd also had some rain around that time, and the temperatures had dropped quite a bit again, so we thought maybe he just got really chilled. We weren't sure what was going on. We left him for most of that day. He never moved. He just laid in there. Like I said, he wouldn't even lift his head up. And so we were really worried. We actually didn't think he was going to make it through the night. So we decided that we would try giving him some antibiotics. We went to our local farm store. We got some penicillin for him, and we gave him a shot of penicillin. Now, I know that there's a lot of controversy about whether or not, you should be giving your animals antibiotics, but I can tell you our perspective on that is we don't give them antibiotics on a normal basis, but when an animal is that sick and potentially going to die, I feel like it's our job as the people raising them to do whatever it takes to try to save their life. And in this case, we gave him antibiotics 3 days in a row, one shot every day for 3 days, and he has come back, to just be his complete normal self. We're so happy because he has so much personality, and we were really sad, even though we're raising him for food. And I know that's another thing that people say, don't get attached to the animals you're raising for food. Even though we're raising him for food, while he's here, we want him to have a great life. He's still got a good 6 or 8 months of life to live, and we want it to be the best life that he can have. So we gave him the antibiotics. It knocked out whatever was causing him to be sick, and he's back to his normal self, and we're so happy. The pigs are really enjoying having this new big area. They've just had so much fun. Now, we've gotten 3.5 or more inches of rain just this week. So this place is just a big muddy mess, which for pigs is like being in heaven. You can see the wallow that I built for them is completely filled up. They've got a nice pool to go swimming in, and they're enjoying eating all this grass. It's interesting, I didn't know, these are supposed to be pastured pigs. And I didn't know when we got them how much grass they would really like to eat. I assumed that yes, they'll eat grass if they don't have anything else, but that they would still prefer their normal grain. But since we've opened this area up and given them all of this, there's a lot of mornings that I come out here and they haven't even finished all of the grain that I gave them the night before. Instead, they want to be out here eating all of this grass down. So that has been really pretty cool to see, and just see the difference between these Idaho pasture pigs and the more standard pigs that we've raised in the past. We're glad that you guys came along with us today to see the different sustainable meat sources that we have here on our homestead. The turkeys, which are a good sustainable heritage breed that we've been raising and absolutely love. And then our silver fox rabbits, which we've also just fallen in love with over the past few years that we've been raising them.
And this year will also be the first time that we have breeding stock of pigs on our homestead. And it's going to be so nice to be able to have everything produced and raised here on our homestead.
Slowly but surely, we're getting closer and closer to being more and more self-sustaining, to having more and more of a closed farm where we can just raise everything we need right here. And we're so excited that you guys are coming along to watch us grow, watch all of those things start to transform, and to see what the future is going to hold.
If you guys are enjoying what you're seeing here, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And the best way that you can help us here on the homestead is to share our videos with all the people you know who have the same mindset and who would enjoy what we are doing here. Until next time, thanks so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.